This is one of the easier techniques in this video series, but I wanted to offer something to everyone from the beginner to intermediate to advanced. The idea in this technique is to enlarge a thumbnail. You can see it right there. There's a small thumbnail, and we want to make it bigger so people can actually see it, but we don't want to take up all that space on the layout and waste all that real estate with just one version of the field, which is a big one. We want to have a small one, and somebody says, oh, I want to see it. They click on a button. Now, in order to download this file, I'm going to show you how to use the Database Pros website. Simply go to databasepros.com, and you don't need to type in index. It'll get there without that. It just puts the index.php at the end, sometimes, depending on what you're doing. Click the Resources button, and come in here and type in what you want. So we're going to type in Enlarge Photo. And that should find it. Hit the Find button. There it is. You download it by clicking this green button. You can see in the lower left-hand corner, there's a download link. Once you've got it downloaded, you can look at all these up close, but watch the video first. So the first technique is using a window card. I'm going to click on it, and you'll see what happens. Pretty nice. You get a nice large version of me at the airport, the Ontario airport, with my sunglasses on. So that's pretty cool. It's actually seems like the easiest method at first, but it actually takes the most work out of all these, in my opinion. What you have to do is you have to come and create a layout. So you can see the bigger version of the photo field. It's not quite as big as the other layout, right? It's a little bit smaller because we want it to fit right inside here. So we create a smaller version with the same theme, right? We're using the river theme here. We put on a button here that says close. Close window is very simple. There's nothing fancy about this, just a single step. Close the current window. And we simply put a bigger version of this photo on there, and we need to make sure that it's set to do what we want, which is reduce image or reduce enlarge, whatever option you want. Certainly not crop. That's not going to be what we want. So we want to either reduce. In fact, this should probably be set to reduce or enlarge image to fit. That way, if it's smaller or bigger, it'll get right into this size right here. Once we have that set up, then all we have to do is run another script called Photo Enlarge. And we'll go into our script workspace. There it is right there. Not very complicated once you get down to the script. The work is in that layout. We have to create that layout. Maybe it's what you want. Maybe you want something with some more buttons on there too. Who knows? Maybe you want some text up there at the top. There is a place for this particular technique, even though it requires a little bit more work. So we come in here. We look at the options. You can see we chose the window style of card, not document, which it defaults to, not floating document, which are handy, dialogues, but a card. We could give it a window name if we wanted to. You can even calculate it if you want to. I chose not to here. In fact, you can calculate it from the person's first and last name. We just come in here and we say name first, concatenate with a space, and then name last. And now whenever that pops up, you'll see that it has that person's first and that last name up there. And then the default of a window card is to be right in the center of the existing window. All I did was change how far from the top it is, 0, because I want it to be appearing to come from the status toolbar. So I did that, and I also kept the option for dim parent window, but I took off the option for close. I have my own close as we showed you, but you can use this close, but I just find it gets in the way because you have no choice on where that close goes, and it's not really matching your interface. So I wanted to do my own. And dimming's nice because I can see situations where you wouldn't dim the parent window, but I like it to be, like it's a letterbox coming up on the screen. So we've got that. That's all you have to do. Not very complicated. And if I didn't make it clear enough, I put a 0 in here because I wanted just the top not to be in the center. I wanted everything else to be in the center, so I didn't change the from left. Just told it to go to the top of the existing window. And that's it. So let's see how it works. Hit that button. And you can see that. And I think I forgot to, I actually removed that formatting here, or that calculated window name. Let's see how that works. Do it one more time. Name first, and a space, and then name last. Click OK. This time I'll save it. There we go. It's saved now. And now when we click on it, we can see we really don't get anything, so it's not worth it. There's no window name here at all. There's no title. Like a regular window, you'd see it, but it doesn't really help out here, so no point in doing that. I just want to make that clear for you in case you're trying it out. So the other method, or the other methods, probably, in my opinion, the easiest method of them all is the popover. You simply click on it and it brings it up. It requires the least amount of work. It's really easy, and it doesn't take up space, so it fills all the conditions we have here. All you have to do is come up here, and instead of a button, choose a popover button. And when you draw a popover button, it opens up and gives you a button, but it also gives you this little popover thing. You can resize it if you want. You can do all kinds of things. You can come in here and name it whatever you want. You can do all kinds of things. It's like a regular button. All kinds of cool things you can do to it. So I've already done this one. And you can see I have just the photo right in the middle. Don't need any other scripts to close it because it's obvious how to close it. Just click outside of it. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. So go into browse mode. And that's it. Just a popover. As soon as you click out, it goes away. Very nice stuff. Very easy to do. Not much effort at all. Now the most complicated, in my opinion, is this one. And what it does is use the native application for this file. So whatever would open a JPEG when you double clicked on it, or a PNG, or whatever your format was, it's going to open it in that program when you run this. So I'll give you a demonstration real quick. You can see it just opens it up, and you can see we're now in the preview app, which is the default for the Macintosh. It may be different for your Macintosh, or maybe different for your Windows machine, but it'll open up in something, whatever your default application is, in this case for a JPG. So we're actually opening up outside of FileMaker. So that's kind of one of the downsides of it, is you go out of FileMaker. It's not a big deal. I mean, it just opens it up, and then you close it and you click back into FileMaker. But you do leave FileMaker, and you may not want that. Let's take a look at how that works. And first thing to reverse engineer is to double click on the button, and it runs Photo Export. Go into the script workspace, go to Photo Export, and we see two steps: set variable and export. So export's pretty easy. You export the field contents, and we're telling it to export the photo field. That's that one right there. You can see it. Simple. And we're specifying $path. That's what's above it. We're setting up $path right there, and we'll cover that next. But instead of saying go to this directory, or typing something in there that's going to be static, we want something dynamic that would change from computer to computer. And we'll explain that a little bit more. But also, it's very important to see that it says automatically open the file. You need that check so it automatically opens it up. So, there's other ways to open it up, but this is the easiest way to do it. So in the set variable, we'll see we set $path. We're using a local variable here. There's a single $sign and a double $sign. Always, or try to always, use the single $sign, because when you declare a single $sign or local variable, it's set and cleared when that script begins and ends. So you set it wherever in the script it sets it, it's there and continues to be in existence until that script ends. And that's very important for it to clear those variables, because otherwise they show up inside of your data viewer and clutter it up, and then you can't see what's going on. There's so many there. That's why you want to avoid those global variables, because they get cleared when you close the file. They stay there and persist, and sometimes you need a global variable, a double $sign, but most of the time you don't. You want to stick with that single. What we're doing here is we're saying get temporary path, and there's a lot of different functions here. You've got get desktop path, get file path. I'll just do a few here. Oops. There's one, and then there's get documents path. If I could type today. There we go. So there's more than I've showed here, but there's all kinds of things that are standard directories across Macintosh and Windows on everybody's computer that you can specify. And one of them happens to be temporary path. Now, why am I using that one? Well, I simply want to open and view this document, this picture. I don't want to clutter up any of those paths, the desktop or the documents or anywhere at all. I just want to put in this temporary path, because what happens, that temporary path is hidden. You can open it, but it's hard to get to. And it is cleared every time you quit FileMaker. So it only temporarily takes up hard disk space, and it doesn't clutter up any of your folders at all. So it's very cool to do that. So always do those kinds of tricks with this. And then use the get container attribute function. Look at the photo field and grab the attribute called file name. It's in quotes. If you take a look at this, we'll go ahead and click OK. Open up the data viewer. Get into browse mode first. And we'll get some of this stuff I've had in there before. Hit plus, paste, and you can see it just gets the name of that file out of there. So you don't have to name it the same thing. You could have called it 1.jpg, but I just like to, in case you were maybe possibly hitting that button a lot on different records, you don't want to overwrite the other files, you might have a problem. So best to use the file name that's there, but you don't have to. I mean, you could use a random number if you wanted to. There could be anything you can put in there, but I like to show off this get container attribute because sometimes you do want to have the same name. Sometimes you want to put it on the desktop and people be able to recognize that document, whether it's a PDF file or a picture or who knows what. They want to be able to recognize it by name on their desktop, so you want to use that same name that it was inserted with. So there's your 3 methods for enlarging a picture. You have the window card, you have exporting to the hard drive and then opening it in the native application, and then the popover, which is probably my favorite just because it's so easy. But realize each one of these techniques has its use. So understand they work with different features and they may be more appropriate in a different situation.